I remember I was 7 years old and I was invited to go to a vacation Bible school. At the very end on a Friday, they're like, okay, if you want to receive Jesus, come forward. I go forward. But when I get up there, I heard spiritual voices. Very first voice that spoke, he says,
"Serve me for 7 years. When you are done with 7 years, you can do what you want."
And then another voice speaks, and it sounded like a waterfall, but it had a voice to it, and it said, "Serve me for all of your days. When your body dies, I will give it life." The kid that's leading me to Christ is saying, "Do you want to serve Satan or Jesus?" And I said, "Satan." I remember I was 7 years old, and I was invited to go to a vacation Bible school. And for those not familiar, that's like it's usually shortened to VBS, but it's a 1 week long, uh, kids come in every day, they get taught about the Bible, they have activities, it's usually pretty fun. This particular church, they are a Bible believing, Bible teaching church this year, and it was 1989. This particular year, for whatever reason, they had this understanding that they don't have to pray at the beginning of each of the sessions. And so, when it came time to get down into each of the activities, it would just be like, "We're gonna go for it. We don't. We know we're in God's house. We are safe." And when I asked my aunt, who she's like, "If you ever tell this story, please don't tell my name." But when I asked my aunt about it, she said that particular year, they had decided that praying over the land and just giving the land over to God, that would be good enough. But it was but they if they didn't, pray over each of the times the kids came together in each of the classrooms, because they had like 8 different activities planned for every day. Let's not be pause to pray for each of the 8 activities, because that's going to make the whole day really long and the kids are going to get bored. So they didn't pray. Get the kids together, watch something on a big screen TV, and then go to the activities. And that was the gist. And then at the very end on a Friday, they're like, okay, now we're gonna come. If you want to receive Jesus, come forward. I go forward to receive what I was pretty sure is going to be Jesus. But when I get up there, and I didn't, when I was in the 15-minute with you, I didn't give the actual what the voice sounded like. But the very first voice that spoke, it says,
"Serve me for 7 years. When you are done with 7 years, you can do what you want."
and I'm like, okay, I've never heard a human voice like that. And then another voice speaks, and it sounded like a waterfall or a bunch of ocean waves, but it had a voice to it, and it said, "Serve me for all of your days. When your body dies, I will give it life." And I'm like, okay, weird. Yeah. Uh, Thinking on my dad's side of the family, thinking on my mom's side of the family. Nobody's dying before the age of 14. I'm 7 years old. I got 7 years to spare. And so I'm like, okay, I can do this. I can literally give myself over to whatever this other voice says. What kid at 7 years old doesn't want to just do whatever they want? That was the perspective. And so as I'm having this thought of I can just do whatever I want, the kid that's leading me to Christ is saying, "Do you want to serve Satan or Jesus?" And I said, "Satan." He says, "No, you don't want to serve Satan. You want to serve Jesus." And I'm like, clearly he did not just hear the conversation that I heard. And my understanding is what needs to, I know what I experienced. So obviously I know what's right. So yeah, I'm going to do what I want. And the kid's like, but that means you're not going to serve Jesus. And I'm just like, I don't care. So yeah, it was like that. And so then when I went back to my seat, I'm like, okay, cool. I went to a church that I heard a voice tell me that I can do what I want. Yes. So, I didn't realize until I was 12 that I had not heard from God. Because at the age of 12 and 13, I began to hate myself with such a level of intensity that I knew this hate was not coming from me, and I was trying to kill myself. But that's jumping a little bit too far. But from the ages of 7 to 9, I was reading the Bible. Now, someone serving witchcraft, reading the Bible. What? And until I heard the story of James Kawalia, where he talked about being in the occult and studying the Bible for 8 hours, sometimes 12 hours a day, just to find ways to get into arguments with Christians. And I was like, okay, so people in the occult reading the Bible to get into arguments, okay, that actually makes sense. But I was reading the Bible because something wasn't making sense to me. On the one hand, my parents were telling me that they were Christians and they were reading the Bible. And then this understanding that I had at the age of 7 was that I heard spiritual voices. Why did they not hear spiritual voices? Uh, I have these spiritual experiences. Why do they not have spiritual experiences? So I began to read the Bible because I knew somewhere there was a lie. Either the book was a lie, or the way they understood was a lie, or the way they lived was a lie. Somewhere there was a lie. So I would literally read the Bible, go to the Strong's Concordance to see where the lie was. And to my shock, it wasn't in the Greek or Hebrew or Aramaic or Chaldean or lexicon. It was not in the English Bible. There was no difference. It was very, very little difference between the original languages, the translation. I'm like, okay, something is missing. Why are they reading the Bible and the Bible is full of spiritual experiences? Why are my parents not having spiritual experiences?
Thanks for watching. This was just a short clip from the full episode of God's Voice Today podcast. And if you want to see the full story, it should be on the screen right now. So don't miss it.